Surely you must remember the winter of 2021, the worst of the pandemic. You couldn't leave your house, and even if you did, it was to complete a COVID test. Masks obscured all of our faces. Even the air seemed nauseous. Friends were separated. Strangers were buried every day. Reality ceased to be something worth looking forward to. But I remember something else. During this period, I experienced the biggest fictional consuming spike ever. A healthy coping mechanism, or so I thought. As there was not much else going on in my life, it became my life. It got to a point where if a K-drama episode wouldn't load in the middle of the night, I threw tantrums at my computer. When the plushie of my favorite character went out of stock on Taobao, I cried myself to sleep. That's when I realized this was no different than any other addiction. But even long before then, I was an avid fan of fiction. Movies, TV shows, books, you name it. Even without the pandemic's help, I admit that if one day my favorite character showed up at my door and asked me to drop everything and run away with him, I probably would. And that got me thinking, why does fiction have this type of effect on us? And what does this behavior mean? In my attempt to answer this question, I began to explore possible explanations. Is it A, literary Darwinism? Literary Darwinism is a term coined by evolutionary theorist David Robinson and other scholars. Narratives have been central to human life for thousands of years. The oldest record of a written story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, was engraved on ancient Babylonian tablets 4,000 years ago. And even before then, before humans could properly express themselves, they told stories. Paintings in sites like Chauvet and Lascaux in France, dating from 30,000 years ago, depict dramatic scenes that were probably accompanied by oral storytelling. And even now, millenniums later, we are the same. When we're conversing, gossiping, explaining things, we're telling stories, and we don't even notice it. It's a part of our evolution. We are storytelling animals. Is it B, relatability? Storytelling is a window into another world. It shows us a world beyond our own and teaches us to empathize with it. But oftentimes, stories are not quite as far afield to our everyday lives. Sometimes the comfort we find in stories come from its relatability. And what exactly differentiates a relatable narrative to, say, a didactic self-help podcast? Perhaps you have experienced a time in your life when someone tries to comfort you by giving you even more unachievable solutions and make you feel even worse about yourself. In times like those, perhaps all you want to feel is seen and acknowledged. To know that you are not alone and that there are people going through the same situation as you. To know that you are normal. This is a real thing, and it's called validation therapy. It's an important tool to build identity and communicate acceptance. Through a third person's perspective, we can identify the problem, which is the first step to solving it, and even if it's not solved at the end of the day, feel comforted nonetheless. Perhaps that's why Franz Kafka is so popular on TikTok, but we'll never know. Is it C, identity? Why do people spend hundreds of dollars on merch and wear shirts depicting bands that I don't even listen to? Why do people feel such passionate devotion to their school sports team when they complain about school all the time? The truth is, everyone needs something to rely on, something to belong to. It becomes a part of your identity. When you obsess over something, that becomes your anchor, the thing you fall back onto, the thing you call yourself. Life goes on. Sometimes you feel a little bit down, but at least when you're falling into the pit of emptiness, you get to think about that one 0.2-second intro scene of Gojo and Geto riding the same bike. It does not get much better than this. Of course, you might also pursue real things to fill this void, as many of us do, such as obsessing over a hobby or a sport or a person. But real-life obsessions have real-life implications. You have to actually practice this instrument, go to training, risk getting your heart broken, believe it or not. We're lazy by nature, because why would you want to go through the risk? Why would you want to go through the pain of the human experience when you can simply sit there and consume a no-casualty, stress-free, one-sided relationship? The market sells you all of these selfhoods to aspire to in the form of these easy commodities. Are you going to be the type of person who reads Blood Meridian and watches Chikawa? Is that who you want to be? We're driven by our constant desire to both fit in and stand out, to belong to a group, to become someone. Is it D, Longing. Fiction isn't real, and that is why it's so appealing. It's a longing that will never have a real ending. And truthfully, we're better at longing for things than receiving it. Neuroscience says that our brain is wired to crave what we don't have. Dopamine is not released when we get what we want, but when we're anticipating it. Studies show that drug addicts actually experience the biggest high when they're craving the drug, rather than when they're taking it. And experience also shows that there's a high chance you always fall for the one guy who does not give a flying fig about you. We're addicted to the longing, the idea of something. Not necessarily something good, but just something extreme, something unattainable and out of this world, something that shows us our lives aren't as dull as it seems. By remaining starved, you can stay hungry, because somehow even that is better than feeling nothing at all. Finally, is it E? Escapism. It's hard to believe that life is meaningless. It's hard to believe that we're born to die and do all these things to distract ourselves from it, like go to school, set some end-of-the-year resolutions, eat a sweet little treat. You can hold on to an idea like everything happens for a reason. Then you look around you at all the misfortunes of the world and think, really, did that happen for a reason too? What if the truth is that the world is irrational? The universe is apathetic to us, and there are no rules here whatsoever. You didn't miss the bus because something better is waiting for you. The guy you made eye contact with at the airport is not going to come back into your life and fulfill your rom-com fantasies. The wish you made on a shooting star meant nothing, because you are not the lucky main character. You're on your own here. But in a fictional world, things have order. The good guys win. The main character never dies, because they're always protected by plot armor. The gun you saw in Act 1 will fire in Act 3, because everything has a purpose. For the most part, evil never prevails, and everything eventually works out. It's comforting to know that, to live in a world with meaning. In the midst of my struggle for absolute truth, I borrowed some help from the most reliable website on the internet, Reddit. I have an addiction to fiction, said user. Video games, music, art, you get the idea. Things that aren't real. There's so much magic, so much emotion, so much imagination. I crave the emotions that fiction gives me. I crave being able to feel. Real life is so dull. People are dull. I don't have anything. I look out into the world and I see litter, angry people, rude drivers, businesses. There's no happiness to it, no magic. Reality feels dead. I just want to exist elsewhere, anywhere but here. When I first identified my fiction addiction problem, I genuinely believed it was something harmless. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized perhaps it was never about fiction at all. Reflecting on the suggested reasons listed above, all seem to have one common denominator, and that is a dissatisfaction with life itself. Not a longing for something particular, but a longing full stop. We'll never be satisfied. Not really. We turn to an impossible world for escape. But even if we ever got there, even if we ever reached that world, we'd be dissatisfied with that too. And the market feeds on it. When we're scrolling for hours on end just to feel something. When we're buying things we don't need because watching your packet arrive mile by mile is about the most exciting thing all week. When our excuses feed on it. When you stick around people who make you miserable. And when you can't ever get over anything for the life of you because, to be honest, you don't really want to. It is this exact type of psychology, this exact type of inherent, endless longing that ultimately destroys us. Loneliness, emptiness, negative cycles, self-sabotage, modern despair, never feeling enough, never feeling worthy, never feeling like you belong, never feeling special, never feeling satisfied. Longing is why we're never satisfied, why we're always on a constant lookout for the next high. But what if we learned to stop chasing that high? What if we learned to live in the real world? Because it may not be dazzling and magical and exciting and forever in your favor, but at least it's real. What if we learned to accept life instead of longing for it? It's not an answer, but it's worth a thought.